Welcome to the top 10 long games. Now, this is kind of, a generic term that what may be long to me may not be long to you, or what's long to you may not be long to me. So these are games that I find to be on the little longer side. And what that means to me is it's hard for me to get it to the table. These games are normally games that I like. They're just hard to get to the table, but they're hard to get to the table because of the length of time that it takes to play. I have a few different game groups I play with, but most people like a regular Euro game with a certain set amount of time, and I don't get to play these as much. I have to kind of find time to play these. Right now, currently, I'm trying to get Mega Civilization to the game. I got a game set up at Dice Tower Con I'm hoping to play, but I can't play that game on any given, Thursday night. That's going to have to be a con game or a Saturday if I can get some guys together. Nevertheless, I have not played it yet, and you will not find it on this list. The first game on this list is Dominant Species. And I got to play this one time. We had an epic game of this. Harley, if you're watching, I played it with you. And I played it with the board game family, which is really cool that he was down in Orlando at the time. And he came over to my place, former place, and played it. And it was just a wonderful time. We played a full complement of 6 players. We had somebody out on the first turn, my wife. And we always hear about this story. And my friend Baby Teeth won. Yep, we call her Baby Teeth because she's an adult and has baby teeth. She ended up winning out of nowhere. And she's not into these long games. And she doesn't really like it. And it was just funny that she ended up winning out of everybody. And she still talks about that time we played that long game. And she won. She loves talking about that. So Dominant Species. It's not something that I can get to the table a lot. Honestly, on the iPad, probably where it gets played more than anywhere right now. But Dominant Species is a really good long game. Next is probably going to be Twilight Imperium 3. This is a game that I always want to play. I want to get to the table, but between the times that I play it, I kind of want to play it less and less just because of the time that it takes and some other long games have come up. But let me tell you something. This is a fantastic game. And if I had played it just last week, it may have been higher because I would have been more playing it recently. Sometimes it can take quite a bit of time between turns, which I don't really like, the downtime. But if you're wanting to play an epic war space game with politics and not just fighting 4X, this is your game. So check this one out, Twilight Imperium 3. My number 8 is Washington's War. I really like this game. It's kind of a card-driven card game. I don't get to play it a whole lot, but it is a game I really like. It's about the American Revolutionary War. It's from GMT Games. You don't hear anything about this game anymore, but it does take some time to play. And one side plays the Colonists and one side plays the British. And it's really neat because you have these generals, but at this time, you didn't just kill or assassinate a general. You kind of took them as a prisoner, and then you exchanged them. So you're doing that every round. This is a really neat game. It's kind of an area control game, kind of a war-ish type game, but it's not a war game. It's not ASL. You're kind of easing your way into it. This is one that is fantastic. So check out Washington's War. Number 7 is Fire in the Lake. This is one I've only played 1.5 times. It's a coin series. It's not a game that I would normally play, but Dylan and I were at Grand Con, I think, and a couple of guys up there showed it to us, and man, I really liked it. So each side plays completely differently. There's 4 players that you need to play this game, and each side plays completely different. I don't think I could teach it again. It's been so long, and it's a really long game, but man, is it fun. Is it a really good game? I really liked it quite a bit. It just feels like, you have this partner that you're playing with, so you guys are playing on the same side. But at some point, you have to turn on them. And when you turn on them, it's going to dictate whether you win or not. It's really weird. That timing in it is just so important. And it's really neat. It's a really neat system. I haven't played a lot of these. It's the only one I've played. I played it 1.5 times, so it's not a lot. I just had so much fun with it. I would go back to this one every single time. Fire in the Lake. Number 6 is The Colonist. Now, this is a worker placement kind of resource management game where you're playing it, and boy, is it long. Now, you can play shorter variants of this. That's included, but if you wanted to play the long game, you're probably looking at about 6 to 8 hours, depending on your analysis paralysis and how many players are playing. But this one is really, really good. Now, the problem I have with this one is is that there are a lot of other games that are similar to it in a shorter time period. But this is the epic version of these type of games. If you like the Uwe Rosenberg games, this is the epic version. This is the Twilight Imperium 3 version. This is the big one, the Mega Civilization version. So if you like worker placement and resource management, this is the granddaddy of them all now. And this is the big one that you'll want to try out. If you ever get a chance to try this one out, take the time and look at it. And you could totally just say, hey, we'll play one round and see if I like it, one era. And then keep going if you want to. Maybe you had somebody who was like that, but I think you'll really, really like this one. And what's really good about this game is it gets better as you play it. So the first era is kind of, it's okay, meh. There are some variants I think people have made just kind of skip the first era and you have a setup. But man, the longer you go in the game, the better it gets and the better the decisions get. So don't judge it on the first era. Although the first era was fine to me. I didn't have any problems with it at all. Number 5 is Food Chain Magnate. And this is a game where you're having a fast food restaurant, you're selling food, marketing food, and you can really have a runaway leader in this game. And this is a game I'm a little surprised was so low on this list. But I gotta tell you, I really like this game. Enough where I upgraded some of the components. And this is a game I can pull out any time except for the time commitment. And look, if you know how to play this game better than somebody, you will beat them. The game is not forgiving. It doesn't have a catch-up mechanism, and you have to be cutthroat to beat somebody good at this game. And there are certain strategies in the game that I've learned that probably work better than others. And it's not a broken game. The game is designed that way. There are cards specifically made to combat other cards, and that's really, 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 really important. So this game is fantastic. If you got somebody that will show it to you or teach it to you or an opportunity to play it, take it, especially if you like cutthroat games that are punishing. But the game isn't punishing himself. It's the other players punishing you. The game is just not artificially going to catch up for you. So if you want to really test your strength at a game, this is it. Food Chain Magnate. Number 4 is one of my go-to two-player games, War of the Ring. Now, I prefer the Collector's Edition because that's the version that I have, and it is just a beautiful production. I like it quite a bit, and that's the version I would go to. Both sides play differently, so with Mordor, you're just trying to take over strongholds and prevent them from dropping the ring in Mount Doom, right? So if you're the Fellowship, you're trying to get down there and drop the Mount Doom or get enough strongholds, but you're not really a fighter. That's not what you're trying to do on the Fellowship side. You're trying to drop that ring off, and that's your best chance to win. And if you're playing the Fellowship, my own strategy, my own belief is that you need to push that ring. But as you do that, when you push that ring, you're letting Mordor take more and more area, which can be very, very dangerous and could be a quick win for the evil side. So you really have to balance kind of what you're doing. But this is one of the most beautiful productions. I love this game, but it does take a sizable investment of time to play it. Number 3. Now this is going to surprise some people. This is on my list, but Spartacus. I love Spartacus. I love this game. Now this game may offend some, and there's an X-Men version if you'd rather play that, but I'm going to talk about the Spartacus version. This game, there is a shorter variant, but if you play the entire game, it can be pretty long. Now, I do play with a house roller variant on the fighting to try not, if your speed isn't up, you're just going to get slaughtered. So there's a little bit to help people with low speed. But this is a really good game of just kind of bluffing and attacking those people against you. This whole political game at the beginning, which plays into the arena fighting at the end, because somebody's going to get to pick who's going to be in there. So you need to be really smart about that. And just, you're going to take that. It's probably the only game with take that I like. It's going to be just card play, but it's about making deals with people, having the deals broken. This is a fantastic game. It can be long, and it can be short. So there's 2 different versions or variants in there of it. But this is one, if you haven't tried out and you like direct confrontation, you like bluffing, you like I'm going after the person with direct conflict, then this may be the game for you, and I absolutely love Spartacus. Number 2 is a hidden traitor game, Battlestar Galactica. Now, I was a fan of the TV show, although I'm not really into space sci-fi very much. This is a show I stuck with and finished. But Battlestar Galactica is long. And if you play it too much in a short span, you'll start to see that there are going to be periods of time in the game where there's nothing going on, and then you're just being slaughtered, right? There's many turns you might go through where there's not a lot to do. You're like, what do? I guess I draw some cards, right? The hidden trader mechanic is kind of what makes this game. Everything else is just there. And the Resistance has kind of taken that part of it and made its own game with it. But Battlestar Galactica is really neat. Now, if you're a fan of the show, it's even better. But you don't have to be a fan of the show to enjoy this. Now, it does help if everybody at the table knows the rules and knows how to play. Nothing is worse than playing this game with someone who doesn't really know what they're doing, and they're making mistakes, and don't understand the social aspect of the game. I don't care if they know how to shoot and fire. I can work with that. But if they also know how to do that, then are they making a decision because they don't know what they're doing, or are they making a decision because they're being strategic? And you don't want that question to be in it. You want to be able to judge everybody's movements on the merit. So, yes, you can play with newbies, and I play with newbies a lot at this, but the game is so much better with people who know what they're doing. And my number one long game is Through the Ages. I like this game. I can play it with 2, 3, or 4. It gets a little long with 4, especially with analysis paralysis, everybody doing their little board. I do have the newest edition that kind of speeds things up and makes things a little bit easier to process. I do like this game a lot. Just the fact that the flow of time through the card selection is really neat, and then min and maxing all your little stuff and getting the resources. It is very, very good. It's probably my favorite Civilization game that I've played to this day. Well, matter of fact, it is. And it doesn't have a map, and that throws a lot of people off. But this game is a masterpiece. And if you haven't played it, definitely, I would probably recommend if you're going to play it for the first time, start with 2 players. It takes some of the treaties and war out of it. There's some cards that come out of it, so when you play with more players, you can do a little bit more. But I would start with 2, learn the game, and then add maybe a third. And if you really want to go all the way out, play a 4. There aren't any rule changes, I don't think, between 3 and 4. Just more people to play with. So thanks for watching my list. It's the top 10 long games. This is something that could change. I'll be playing Mega Civilization soon. I'm eager to see if this makes the list. If there's anything on your list that you've played that maybe you think should have made this list, please add it in the comments. Maybe we can discuss some of this. I've never played Rex. I never played any of the Civilization games. I did play the Civilization game from Fantasy Flight, but I didn't play the other longer ones. And I didn't put a lot of the dudes on the map games like Conan and Zombicide. I didn't put those on here because those are so scenario based. I also didn't include any legacy games like Pandemic Legacy, where it's like one game but it's really one longer game, and campaign games like Star Wars Imperial Assault. I didn't keep those on the list because once again the game is shorter but the campaign is longer, and I didn't want this list to be just campaign games. I wanted this to be a game that you would sit down and play in one setting, and that's long. Thanks for watching the video. I really appreciate you tuning in. If you liked it, please like it and hit that little subscribe button. That really helps out the channel, lets us know that you're getting the videos that you want. If you agreed or disagree with what I said, feel free to comment below. I'd love to hear what you have to say, and I promise that I will comment back. Thanks for watching, and everybody else, keep playing games.